What's up everyone? I hope you're doing well today. Today's video is going to get into how to win games online, which is a big deal for a lot of people, especially if you're new to the game or if you've been playing offline games for a very long time and want to try to get into the competitive scene online. Now, MLB 19 is only a few hours away and I'm so excited, but I wanted to get this video in from 18 because I want to get all the principles in before you have to start playing games in 19 if you're one of those people that want to jump right into online games. The principles of winning have been the same for years in this game, and after seeing 10 hours of gameplay in the dev stream, it's clear that contact hitting will be viable this year, if not very important. So for the most part, the principles that we used in 18 will carry over to 19, a small portion can be assumed from 19, and the rest we will cover in videos in the near future. This video will briefly touch on the highlights of each point, but if you want to look deeper into each of them, I will link some of my older videos from 18, and look for remakes for 19 of those videos coming up soon. So the first thing that you want to do to get started playing online or practicing offline is to make sure that you have the right settings. At the end of the video linked in this card, my previous video, it has some details for the best settings, especially if you're new to the game. Optimally, you should be trying to hit with zone hitting and buttons with some variant of strike zone camera. If you struggle with zone hitting, even after a good amount of practice, go ahead and go back to directional with camera shift off or analog with flick for a short amount of time and get the feel of pitch timings and breaks. Hitting with zone gives you the highest skill ceiling, but sitting at a 200 batting average can slow down your progress and it doesn't really feel good, so you might as well try some of the other interfaces for a little while. Try to go back to the PCI when you feel like you've hit your ceiling. The PCI appearance is more of a personal preference. Personally, I like wedge so that the top of the PCI doesn't really hide the baseball out of the pitcher's hand, and outline and reticle are also popular. I've seen some people with dynamic. And on the pitching side, you can basically use any camera, but I'd suggest not leaving it on broadcast because it'll give you different camera angles in different stadiums, so it won't be consistent. Pure analog is usually the go-to for the best players, but it can be a little tricky, so meter and pulse are okay to start off. Personally, I like meter, but pure analog again has the highest skill ceiling, so that's really what you want to aim for. And finally, for fielding, make sure to have one button jump/dive off and throw canceling on. Throw canceling is important for beating aggressive base runners, which we will also get into later in the video. Make sure your throwing meter is on and choose button accuracy as the interface. This will allow you to make sure that you only make errors when it's your fault and the computer won't give you random errors when you're throwing the baseball. Personally, I actually think pure analog interface is the best. I've used it for a while. It's a little bit quicker than button accuracy, but it is very hard to use, and in 19 it might be even harder. So it's not something I'd necessarily recommend right off the bat. And 99% of people use button accuracy at the highest levels, so that's what you want to go for. But if you want to give pure analog a chance, that's what I use and I do really like it. So once you're good on your settings, it's time to prepare your gameplay. Here's a video on how to practice hitting effectively and efficiently for all levels of skill. Generally, hitting is what will win you games, just because of the way that Diamond Dynasty is built and it favors the hitters. So you want to make sure that your plate coverage indicator, your PCI, is getting more and more precise as time goes on. If you play a lot of shooters, this may be a little bit more natural to you using the analog for precision, but for others, it takes a good amount of practice. So Challenge of the Week is where you can get some of the best hitting practice, so definitely try to get in there as much as you can. And for brand new players, definitely try out Home Run Derby as well and Road to the Show. Now PCI skill can sometimes be capped by talent and coordination. Practice definitely helps you reach your potential, but in this category, not everyone has that equal potential. So how do you level the playing field? That comes down to plate discipline and pitch selection. And I did a plate discipline video last year, which actually has been my most popular video on this channel. So check out the new version after 19 has been out for a while. I will update it, but for now, here's the version from 18. Plate discipline sometimes is as easy as not swinging at the first pitch every time, but it also can involve a lot more than that. The nice thing is plate discipline is less affected by skill and more by effort, attention, and game planning. For baseball fans who know the game but maybe don't have top-notch skills, this is where your knowledge helps you out. The hitting engine is designed to favor the hitter when the pitch is over the middle of the plate, and it generally mimics real life, so working the count and forcing the pitcher to make a mistake is going to give you the advantage every time. Until you reach maybe the top 2 tiers of ranked seasons, 50% of players will throw you a ton of meatballs as long as you give them the chance. The most important thing you can do this year hitting-wise is to cover the fastballs and the hanging breaking balls. If opponent starts to spam breaking balls over and over, they're going to start to hang a lot. That's a difference in 19 that they brought up. That's where it's going to come down to your timing and minimal PCI movement to execute good swings. You just want to make sure that you're covering the middle of the zone, the fat pitches, the ones that they made mistakes on. Personally, especially at lower levels when I'm trying to rank up. I sit on fastballs until they give me a reason not to. That alone with half decent PCI skills can get you up to the 700s. My pitching was always decent, but I was able to make it to World Series with, I would say, average to below average PCI skills for quite a while. So when I say this really is true. Now getting to the 900s and above, that can be a little bit tougher. It can come down to some talent, but at least to the 700s, if you're able to master these things, you will be in a good shape. Now, of course, you don't want to have to rely on outslugging your opponent, so there are some pitching tips I can share as well to get you started. Again, knowing baseball will definitely help you out here, but there are some differences from real life due to the way the analog works. It doesn't exactly mimic real life. Some people are jumpy on the hitting side, and they like to flick their analog when they see the ball coming off center. So this makes them better at hitting pitches on the corners and in the very middle of the zone, which is kind of different from real life. The more you hit the corners, usually the better off you are. But in this game, you should still aim for the black of the plate, but don't aim for the very bottom of the zone. So not in the exact corner of the two-dimensional zone. You want to be a little bit higher than that on the black of the plate. A lot of times throwing pitches at the very bottom of the zone is the worst place to put it. Those are actually the pitches that get hit the hardest most often, which again is counterintuitive if you know baseball. And sometimes you'll see that if the fastball is thrown above the zone, it gets hit pretty hard, which can be annoying, but I want to throw it out there because it is something that does happen consistently. Again, we won't know if there is a difference if they change up the PCI a little bit for 19. They always do some tweaking, but we will see how that is affected in the coming weeks. So for more details on this pitching, I have a lot more details on here. Make sure to check out this video right here, and there's some graphics in there that should help you out as well. And finally, one issue that the game has had for a while is base running cheese. It doesn't matter how much skill you have, you can be a good pitcher and a good hitter, but if you can't control the base runners, the game not only feels harder but frustrating to the point of not being fun anymore. And I know people personally that have just given up on Diamond Dynasty and playing online because of this reason. In previous years, there would always be brutal animations that wouldn't allow you to throw runners out, so they would take extra bases in unrealistic situations. This year, they've added more animations to help us out defensively, but that doesn't mean people will stop being greedy on the base paths. So of course, here's another video for you to check out with all the help you could need on the field. Oftentimes you will see people trying to take an extra base, but go back to the previous base, only to turn around again as soon as they see the throwing animation start. 95% of the time, if you start running at them back to the previous base, you just do one pump fake while you're running, and then keep running at them, they'll turn around and run themselves into an out. So just like in real life, when you're in a pickle, you want to make sure you're running the base runner back to the previous base and not the next base. Because if they don't bite on the pump fake, they're going to be safe. And you want them to be safe at the previous base and not an extra one. And to pump fake, just press the button of the base as if you're actually throwing to it, and then press it again to cancel. So this is why we turned on throw canceling in the settings section of the video, and of course the video I linked has a lot more details. So we will see if it's easier to prevent these things in 19, but in the meantime, this should help you to stop a lot of the cheese. You won't see it a ton in higher ranks, but you may see it a lot early on, and you have to be able to combat it, otherwise you'll get taken advantage of. So that's it. That's how you win games online in MLB The Show. Getting to the very top can require some level of additional talent and skill, but if you're able to learn the tips of this video, you should be able to at least reach 700 at some point. I'm not saying it is easy, because baseball definitely isn't, but if you know the game in real life, it is possible to make it simple for yourself. Again, the videos I put in the cards today will be updated for 19, so hit the subscribe button if you want to see those soon, and leave a comment if you wanted some more clarification. If this video did help you out, drop a like on the video, and hit me up on Twitch for live streams all day the first couple days that the game comes out, and daily streams at 7 p.m. Central Time. So again, I hope this video helped you out, and I will see you soon.